Have you lost your sweet, sweet, beloved pet and you don't know what to do next? Are you feeling overwhelming feelings of grief and maybe some guilt or anxiety? Just really overall negative feelings, but you don't know what to do with them or if they're even normal? Do you also not have anyone to talk to about this because regular people just won't understand? If so, this video is for you. Hello, my name is Melissa. I'm a registered psychologist and coach. And if you're interested in coaching with me, please see the description box below for more details. All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to explore the very real feelings that come with pet loss. And first, I just want to let you know that what you are feeling is normal. Maybe not everybody in the world can understand what it's like to lose a pet because not all people are animal people. But for those of us who are, we get it. And there is a group of people who do understand you're not alone, you are normal, and it is okay to feel the grief that you're feeling. So more and more, our pets are becoming our primary attachment figures. And this is especially true for single people. And what that means is your pet is your most important relationship. And so at the loss of a pet, your most important relationship, that is going to be hugely, hugely devastating. And so I just want to normalize the fact that some people do have their pet as their primary attachment figure, and that's okay. Now, would other psychologists debate if that's okay? I think so. I think other psychologists would say that you're supposed to have only humans as your primary attachment figure. But that's not all psychologists, and that's not me. I think if you have a securely attached relationship with your pet, and your pet is your primary attachment figure, then that's amazing because you have a securely attached relationship in your life. And that is what we are all going for, is secure attachments in our life. So if this is you, that's okay. I think it's important to just kind of lean into it, embrace it, and accept it. It's tough because going into it, we all know when we get a pet that we're probably going to outlive them. And just knowing that, it doesn't really make it any less painful. Just because you know that something is inevitably going to happen doesn't take away from the sting of what you're going through right now. And maybe some of you are struggling with losing a soul pet, and that's when you feel like you have like a soul connection to your animal. And if that's the case, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Really, any pet loss is so painful. So I just want to honor and acknowledge that. Maybe you're wondering, how long is this grief gonna last? And honestly, it is different for everyone, but the grief process that you experience when you lose a human is going to be the same as the grief process you experience when you lose a pet. For some people, that is very, very real because we have these pure connections with our animals that we don't necessarily get with other humans. So when we lose our animal, we lose that really pure, unconditional love that they give us that we don't really experience in our other human relationships. So it's hard to know how long your grief is gonna last, but if you do grief the right way, by acknowledging it and feeling the feelings instead of distracting and sweeping them under the rug, then you are going to have an overall more positive grief experience than if you just shove them under the rug and pretend like they're not there. So that's really, really key. And we're gonna get further into this video. I'm gonna give you some tips and strategies on how you can process the grief of your pet. The other thing that might happen is maybe for the first 3 weeks of losing your pet, around the 3-week mark, you might just be numb. And you might not be feeling a whole lot. But then after about 3 weeks, the grief really comes up. And then you're wondering to yourself, why? I thought I would get better, not worse. Well, it's really just the fact that you're kind of numb and almost a little bit frozen in the first few weeks. And it takes that time to defrost a little bit to get to the really ooey gooey, painful parts of the grief. So you might have a little bit of a delayed grief as well, and that is totally normal too. I also want to say, yes, I do believe that we will meet our pets again in the afterlife. That is a thing, and maybe it's not something that everybody believes in, but I am sure that I will see my dear beloved pet in the afterlife. I'm sure he'll be there to greet me as soon as I cross over. And I just want to say that death is a loss of the physical 3D reality that we're experiencing. But it's not a loss of consciousness, and your pet isn't totally gone. Their consciousness is still available to be tuned into and tapped into. And this is something that I did when I lost my pet that made me feel closer to him and really helped me to process through my grief. Now, some of you might be wondering, how long should I wait until I get another pet? And that is really, really up to you, but you've got to be honest with yourself about what you're needing and what the time length is for you. I once read a story about a lady who got a replacement dog too fast, and she ended up feeling resentful of the new dog because the new dog wasn't similar enough to the old dog, and she had all of these expectations. She had expectations that the new dog would be like the old dog, and it just wasn't that way. So you don't want to find yourself in that situation. That's for sure. That's why it really requires you be honest with yourself to see how long you need before you get another pet. I have a friend who took 2 days to get another pet, and it worked out beautifully. The new pet helped her grieve the old pet, and there have been no regrets ever since. Me personally, I waited 5 years before I got another pet. Once I lost my dog, I waited 5 years because I just could not wrap my mind around the lot, like having to go through that again. It was just too difficult the first time around, and I just never wanted to feel that again. But eventually I changed my mind, and I'm so glad I did, because the new dog that I have now is just as amazing as the old dog, and they both have their reasons why I just love them both so equally and so much. So really, the time frame of when you should get a new pet is totally your call, but just make sure you're being super honest with yourself and you're going inward to really know what is going to be right for you. You don't want to get a new pet to just sweep your feelings under the rug like we talked about earlier. You want to get a new pet when you're ready. So with that, let's get into 3 different things that you can do in order to start to heal and go through the grief process in order to come out the other side. So the first step is feel your feelings and be present. So really come into the now moment when it comes to your grief. When you feel a wave of grief come over you, you're probably going to feel it physically in your body. So what I want you to do is tune into those physical sensations in your body. Maybe it's a heavy chest, maybe it's something going wrong in your stomach, maybe it's tight shoulders. Whatever it is, I want you to come into the now moment and focus on what is going on in your body and just be with it. Don't allow other negative thoughts, or really any thoughts at all, if you can help it, to come into your mind. So no what if, should I have done more, did I do too much? None of that, none of the self-blaming, guilting stuff. We're gonna work with all of those thoughts in the next 2 steps. But in this first step, what I want you to do is be in this present moment and allow the waves of grief to just come and move through you. They will be around for maybe anywhere between 5 seconds to a minute. It won't be long, but it will be intense. So sit with it, be with it, allow it to move through you, and once you do, it's going to get easier and easier each time, and each wave will be less and less. In the beginning, the waves are pretty intense, but it will get less and less and further in between the waves. Number 2, I want you to write to your lost pet. And I know this might sound really weird to some people, but it's so healing. I did this when I lost my beloved Calvin. That was my dog. And I got a blank journal. I'd recommend you get a blank journal and you dedicate it to your pet. That's what I did. And I just wrote him letters and I asked him, like, why did you leave? I really got all my feelings up and out, up and out, up and out, just by writing Calvin letters. And I was able to receive what I interpreted to be messages back from his consciousness, because like I said earlier in the video, I don't believe in death necessarily. We just shift forms of consciousness. We're in our 3D reality here on Earth, and then when we die, we transition into another form of consciousness. So when I was writing letters to Calvin, I felt like I was really tuning into his consciousness, and I was really communicating with him really similarly to how we used to communicate, because of course it was nonverbal. And so this was more verbal. It was so interesting, I have to say. I would write him letters, and then I would feel his presence, and I would feel him just comforting me and telling me that it all worked out for the way it was supposed to. All the decisions that I made around that time were the right decisions. He basically told me everything I needed to hear. Did I make it all up? Maybe. But did it help me? Yes. And that is the most important part. Number 3 is don't be afraid to reach out and get help when you need it. There are lots of kind, compassionate people out there who understand the loss of a pet. In my situation, there at the vet clinic where my dog passed away, they had a therapist on staff, and so she was really instrumental in walking me through the process of what to expect, and then at the end, really helping me process my grief. And like I said earlier, you want to get it up and out, up and out. And when you have someone else there to witness your pain, it just helps to validate your feelings on another level. So writing, like we talked about in step 2, that's really good, really good. But having someone witness all the feelings, all the thoughts and feelings that you have going on around the loss of your pet, it's so beneficial. So reach out to a therapist or a coach and get the help that you need. Don't be ashamed. Your grief is normal. And the 4th step is self-care. I want you to really pay attention to your self-care during this time. You're gonna need to eat. I know you probably don't want to. Food isn't sounding too appealing, or maybe you are turning to food to comfort you and you're overeating. So really be mindful of these different habits and behaviors that you're doing. Don't engage in numbing behaviors, because numbing the pain is only going to prolong the pain. So if you're numbing, please just follow the steps in this video instead. Back to self-care. You want to be eating, you want to be sleeping the best you can, you want to be moving your body as much as possible, you want to be taking in a lot of water. There's going to be lots of crying, so you're going to need to rehydrate. You just need to take care of your basics, because when you're in grief, doing the basics is really hard. But your pet would want you to take care of yourself. So in honor of your pet, please engage in proper self-care. Really make sure you are hitting all your basics. Eating, sleeping, exercise. These are all things that are going to help reduce the pain that you're going through. So I hope this video helped. I want you to know you are not alone. Like I said earlier, there are so many people who are going through what you're going through, and there's so many kind, caring professionals who are around to help. So reach out if you need help. Don't be ashamed of how you feel. Talk to people who understand, and just take really good care of yourself during this time. Thank you for watching, and I hope your day goes okay. All right, bye for now.